How well do you know all 15 minor keys? Have you ever been stuck trying to figure out a minor key signature or identify the notes within any minor scale? Well, today I have 10 strategies for us to figure out all of the minor scales quickly and confidently. Some involve parallel minors or relative minors. Some use the order of flats or the circle of fifths. Some have chord progressions or even key signature hacks for us to unpack. So stick around to the end to figure out which method is best for you, and soon you'll know all 15 minor keys lightning fast. Let's dive in. All right, so this first is one of my favorites, is involving parallel minors, and this is just if you take any major scale, you're going to lower the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th scale degrees. And so with that, here I have my beautiful C major scale. And if I want to make it minor, I'm going to lower, again, the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th scale degrees. So I'm going to lower the E, A, and B, for instance. So I lower those, and now I have this minor scale, right? So lowering the 3rd, 6th, and 7th. So just see on another scale, if I have this B flat major scale and I want to know what are the notes to the B flat minor scale, I'm going to take that 3rd, 6th, and 7th. So here that D, G, and A are not going to have flats, and I get, instead of this B flat major scale, I now have this B flat minor scale. So again, just lowering the 3rd, 6th, and 7th. Another one that involves parallel minor that's one of my favorites is just to add 3 flats to the key signature. So for instance, if I know the key signature for C major is no sharps or flats, I'm going to add 3 flats to that to get C minor. If I do that with like E flat major, right, I know that might have 3 flats to start for E flat major. I'm going to add the 3 flats. Now I get 6 flats total. Now I have E flat minor. So this also works when I have sharps, right? Because a sharp and a flat are just going to cancel out. So if I have G major with 1 sharp to start and I'm going to add 3 flats to the mix, then I'm going to be left with the 2 flats left over. Or even like B major that has 5 sharps, right? Same kind of thing. The 3 flats and 3 sharps will cancel out, and I'm just left with 2 sharps for B minor. You can also reverse engineer this if you know that it's a minor key and you're trying to figure out what is the major, so that you can kind of remove 3 flats. So if you're stuck with this and you know, okay, it's 5 flats, but I know it's a minor key. If I take away then the 3 flats, then what am I left over with? It'll be the major, parallel major, right? So 5 flats, take away 3, I'm left with now 2 flats. Okay, I know that's B flat major, which means I started with B flat minor. Same kind of thing. If I have 1 sharp, right, taking away 3 flats, right, we said 3 sharps and flats cancel out. So that means that's the same thing as adding 3 sharps. So if I have the 1 sharp, I'm adding the 3 sharps to find the parallel major. So I know E major. Okay, I had E minor to start. Another of my favorites is using the order of flats and sharps, using what I call the rule of 7. So let's unpack this one. So again, order of flats here, B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Personally, I just memorize B, G, C, F is what I grew up learning. So I know like C major here, no sharps or flats. So I'm going to, again, add 3 flats. There's my minor. So the rule of 7 comes into play, is that what I have left over will go to C sharp minor. And I know it's going to be C sharp minor because C minor had some flats involved. So one side's going to have flats, the other's going to have sharps involved. Same thing with F minor. If I know there's 4 flats for F minor, then I know there's 3 sharps left over for F sharp minor. And on down the line, I can do this, right? The 5 flats and the 2 sharps, or the 6 flats and 1 sharp, or even A flat minor has now all flats against A minor, which has no sharps or flats. And on down the line, I can go even with G minor. I think this is super helpful. 2 flats in G minor. That means 5 sharps for G sharp minor, because we don't play in G sharp minor very often, thank goodness. And same thing with D sharp minor. Thank goodness we don't play in D sharp minor too often, but D minor had 1 flat, which means 6 sharps for the D sharp minor. Circle of fifths. A lot of people love using circle of fifths. So with this method of kind of parallel minors, we can go counterclockwise 3 on the circle of fifths. So here with A major to start, and I want to go to A minor, I'm going to go to counterclockwise 3, which means I'm going to get to where C major is, right? So going counterclockwise 3 steps, A major to A minor, or C major to C minor. And this can work with any of the majors and minors, knowing like B major to B minor, counterclockwise 3, same thing, F to counterclockwise 3 to F minor. I know that there was 1 flat in F, so again, kind of adding 3 flats to get to F minor. Same kind of thing here. All right, before getting into some strategies that involve relative minor, just for hanging out with me today, I have a free music theory survival guide. Just go to joshring.com/free. Wherever you're at in your music journey, I think you'll find it super helpful. So again, joshring.com/free for your free music theory survival guide. Let's dive back in. So one of the biggest problems I run into with my students is if they see a key signature, they're automatically going to assume it's the major version. So if this one, okay, C major, it's got to be C major, but it has just as much potential as to be A minor, right? It just depends on style, sure, but A minor is a very valid option, and we often just automatically assume major. Don't forget, minor is still a valid option. And I like to equate this to this word here. And I'm guessing most of us on this channel of musicians is going to assume it's the word bass, right? As in a bass guitar or bass frequencies or a bass singer. But it could just as easily have been bass, right? And it just depends on context which one it is. So don't forget about the context of your key signature. Is it a major or a minor? But we can also use some nice tricks with relative major and minor. One of the most popular is down 3 half steps. All right, so let's say I started with C major. So I'm going to start here with the C, and I know C major is the starting place, and I want to know what is the relative minor, as in what shares the same key signature, the same DNA, because they're relatives, right? So C, go down 3 half steps, we get to the B flat, and then we're down to the A. So I know A minor will have the same DNA, the same key signature as C major. And I can do this with any note. So say I wanted to know E flat major, what's then the relative minor? Down 3 half steps, and we get to then C minor. Then I know C minor has the same key signature as E flat major. One last one, right? Just to show you, if I start on the A and I go down my 3 half steps and I get to, is it going to be G flat or F sharp? So the way to remember this, to really know which is the relative minor that has the same key signature, think about, are there sharps or flats in A, right? So since A has some sharps in it, then it's got to be F sharp. It's F sharp minor will have the same key signature as A major. And thank goodness, right, that the G flat minor isn't even an option for a minor key, because that would have 9 flats, and that's just way too many to handle. So seeing this on the circle of fifths, same kind of thing. The inner circle of minors is really the relative minors, right? So you might have seen that same kind of thing down 3 half steps. So we had that E flat to C. So you can do this again with any of the majors and minors, going down 3 half steps. That gives you your inner circle for your circle of fifths. So another really common use with the circle of fifths is doing clockwise 3 to relative major and minors. And this is helpful if you don't know the inner circle or don't want to go down the 3 half steps. You can just go clockwise 3. So in instance, C major, clockwise 3 steps, we get to then A minor, right? So C major to then A minor. And I'm using this method to say they are the same key signature, they're relative majors and minors. So I could also do this with, say, like E flat to then C minor, or even something like F to D minor, right? Clockwise 3 to use relative major to relative minor. So then another really helpful one with relative majors and minors is to know that the 6th note of a major scale is going to be the starting note of the relative minor. So let's say I was for some reason stuck and didn't know what is the relative minor to C major based on this key signature. I would just take that C major scale. And so then, okay, what is the 6th note of that C major scale would be the A. So I know the A would then be the starting note for A minor. So those are my relative majors and minors. Or something even more complicated. Maybe you're stuck in like B major and you're just can't remember what is the relative minor to B major. So same kind of thing. Take it, find the 6th note, you get to the G sharp here. So G sharp is then the starting note, the root of the G sharp minor, right? So my relative minor. Or even F sharp minor. Again, these kind of being 2 keys that we don't play in as often with this many sharps. So you would take your 6th note again, you get to the D sharp. So you know then D sharp minor and F sharp major, a really useful way. So if I take that method and I take it a step further, I'm going to use this chord progression hack, which is one of my favorite methods that a lot of people actually don't know about. So the chord progression itself, I'm going to take the 1 chord in C major, I'm going to walk it down to the 7th note, and then I just get to the A minor, right? And so what's happening here, again, the A minor is the 6th in C major, is again the 1 in A minor, and the 3 is the C chord. All right, so just to unpack it, right, where I have C, E, G, 1, 3, 5, walk it down, and I get to then A minor. So that's technically like A minor 7, right? Which is the 1 chord as a 7th chord when I'm in the relative minor. So let's do this with another chord. So say I have G major, so I would get G, B, D, and then I'm going to walk it down. The 7th note would happen to be an F sharp, and then I'd walk it down and I get to the E minor here. So that's how I know E minor is the relative minor. Just as see it more visually, right? We have the G, B, D, walk it down, I get to then the E. So there's my E minor 7. So let's say you are really comfortable with like just a few flats or sharps, and then you're stuck. What in the world is when I have 5, 6, 7 flats or sharps? What are the minors? I think that people forget about those ones the quickest, because especially we don't play in D sharp minor very often. And so what we can do is compare that easy version with just a few flats or sharps to the hard version that has a lot of flats or sharps. So what I mean by that, here we have like A minor, for instance. We might know that has no sharps or flats. So then A sharp minor and A flat minor would just be either all sharps or all flats, respectively. Right? So same kind of thing. If I did it to like D minor with only 1 flat, okay, what is D sharp minor? Everything's going to be sharp except for the B, right? So the one thing that was flat is now the one thing that's natural. To show you in another one that we don't play in as often, G sharp minor, but you might know G minor pretty well, just 2 flats. So then I could say, okay, everything is now sharp except for the B and the E that had flats before. Or what if I start with something that has sharps in it? Say B minor only has the 2 sharps. So you're like, okay, what is B flat minor? That seems like a lot of flats, right? So everything that was a sharp before is now natural. Everything else is flat. So I have the B flat minor, right? It has C and F as the naturals. Or another common one with a lot of flats, right? We had E minor with just the 1 sharp compared to E flat minor with now 6 flats, right? Everything is flat except for the F that was sharped before in E minor, right? Right, so a really useful way to compare the easy ones that you might know really well to the hard ones. And this kind of new trick that I've come up with that I teach my students that you might not know about is a key signature hack. So we'll unpack this. You might know that the trick with key signatures for majors is you're going to go up a half step from the last sharp when you have sharped keys, right? So you take that C sharp, you go up a half step, you get to D major, right? The reverse is going to be true for sharp keys with minor. So what I mean by that is instead of going up, we're going to go down. And instead of half steps, we're going to do whole steps. It's kind of the opposite in my head, right? So what I mean by that, if I wanted to know what is the minor version when I have 2 sharps, I'm going to take again that last sharp, and I'm going to go down a whole step to find the minor. So that whole step down gets me to B minor. So I know that this key signature, just by looking at it, going down a whole step gets me to B minor. So let's see that again. Let's say you have this key with 5 sharps and you're just really blanking. What is the minor version that has 5 sharps? We'll take the last one, A sharp, down a whole step, right? Skipping over the A gets you to the G sharp, right? And you're just wanting to be sharp, not an A flat or something, right? So that A sharp down a whole step gets us to G sharp. I know it's G sharp minor for that one. So you might know the ones for the major with flats then is the second to last flat. So like this key signature, the second to last flat is the B flat. So I know it's B flat major. It does not as smooth when I try to do this with minors, but just to show you what we would do, we would go up instead a major third from the last one. So here I have the E flat is the last one. I'm going to go up a major third. And if you're really comfortable with triads, major triads especially, this will be super helpful. So E flat would go up a major third to G. So then I know it's a G minor, right? So I'm going to use the last flat, go up a major third. Another one, 4 flats, and you're just really blanking. Okay, the last one, D flat, you're going to go up a major third, or you could think of your D flat triad, D flat, F, A flat. Then I get to, okay, the F was the third. There's my F minor. So of the 10 methods that we covered today, which one is your favorite? Or do you have another way that you really like to identify minor keys? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, some of our best ideas come from you guys. So don't forget to check out the comments below. And again, for hanging out with me today, I have that free music theory survival guide. Just go to joshring.com/free. And if you're also stuck trying to figure out, is it a major key or a minor key in the first place, check out this video I made here where I unpack 5 tips for us to know, is it major or minor? I hope you start using a combination of your favorite tricks you learned today and that you can learn all 15 minor keys lightning fast. Thanks and have a great day.